Hi DIYers, this is Frank at Alarm Grid, and we're back in the Alarm Grid lab working on the Honeywell SiXSMOKE. This is the newest of the smoke detectors from Honeywell for the Lyric controller. It does use the 6 series technology that uses 128-bit AES encryption and will allow you to integrate smoke and heat protection to your Lyric controller. So we'll show you how to program both the smoke detector and the heat detector aspect of this device. So first we'll pull it out of the box. When you open the box, you'll notice you have some screws in here, as well as the guide. This manual can be very helpful just as a reference guide as you're programming, so definitely keep that and don't throw it out before you install it. So you can see here we have our smoke, which is a nice fancy looking smoke detector with an LED on the front and a nice test button, which is an upgrade from the older 5800 series sensors, the 5808W3 and the 5806 W3 that required a paper clip to get down into the test hole. This one has a nice little button there for you for testing. On the side of the unit, you'll see it has the MAC address listed on the side. Same idea as the serial number on the 5800 series devices, except this one's a little bit longer, and we're going to be showing you how to auto-enroll this as individual smoke and heat zones, as well as batch enrolling, which will enroll both the smoke and heat together in consecutive zones. Just for some quick specs on the smoke detector aspect of this sensor uses photoelectric technology. That's the newest technology out there, not like the ionization that would maybe be tripped by cigarette smoke or something else in the home. Photoelectric is going to trip as soon as smoke is detected within the area of the smoke detector. The heat detector aspect of this has two functions, both a rate of rise heat, which is 15 degrees within 1 minute. So if the heat sensor detects a 15-degree increase within a 1 minute time, it'll trip the heat detector zone. You have to make sure that you program it as a heat detector as well, separately than your smoke detector zone in order for that to be enabled. The other technology on the heat detector side is the fixed temp. So you have 135 degree Fahrenheit fixed heat as well. So as soon as it hits that temp, this heat detector will be tripped and sent it to the panel, sound at the panel, sound at any of your 6 sirens, and also report out to Total Connect and your central station. So we'll actually pop the unit open for starters before we get into programming mode here. So you're going to want to twist it counterclockwise and just pull the back plate right off, and then we can set that aside for right now. And you'll see that we have our SiXSMOKE. And when you first open it up, you'll see there's 2 batteries. They're just lithium batteries, and there happen to be the Panasonic batteries. These are the CR123A. There are other batteries that will work as well, and I'll get into that later in the video. So for right now, we look, when you first have it set up, you'll see that there's this piece of cardboard holding the batteries from activating the sensor. So we'll actually leave that in there until we activate it, and I'll show you how to batch enroll first, and then I'll circle back and show you how to do each zone. So for starters, we'll leave this off. We have our tamper cover right here on the back, or our back plate, and we'll go into programming. So the first thing we'll do to get out of our slideshow there is we'll hit the home button. This will put us all the way back at the home screen. If you're not seeing the screen, just hit that home button there until you do. At that point, you want to hit security and then tools. At this point, you'll enter your installer code. Our panel is on the default, which is 4112. If you have a different installer code, you would enter that. Or if you're not sure of your installer code, you can use our video to get into the backdoor programming to reset the installer by using that backdoor method. So once you hit tools, you can then enter 4112. That'll get you into here. If you haven't connected your panel to a monitoring service yet, you may notice that it's going to prompt you for AlarmNet info. You can just skip that. As soon as that fails, you can click OK, and then you should see this screen. Being that we've already attached this to our 360 account, it's just going right into programming like it will for your panel once you're monitored. So you can hit program. Once you're in programming, you'll see zones, and we'll just scroll down to the next available, which we can see we have 9 and 10 here. So like I said, I'm going to show you how to do the batch enrollment first. The benefit of that being that it'll enroll both zones, one for smoke and one for heat. So on the bottom right here, you might see where it says RF6 batch. We'll hit the start there. Once we hit that, you'll see on the front there's no LEDs going right now. As soon as we pull this, we just want to pull one side at a time. As soon as we do that, you'll see the green LED start to flash. Okay, we're not into any specific zone level programming yet. We're just doing the batch enrollment. And you'll see as we do that, 9 and 10 just filled in. We have a smoke detector on 9, and we have a heat sensor on 10. You'll see if you click smoke detector and then edit, you'll see the serial number is showing up here in programming. We can now name this wherever this will be located. In this case, this will just be our main smoke in our lab here, so we'll just start typing in main. Oop, go back, M-A-I, and then we'll do an N there. That's main smoke, and then we'll hit save. And then we can see here device type. We're going to leave that as a smoke detector. And the response type will be fire no verification. Now there's two different types of smoke detectors you can set up. Fire with verification or fire no verification. By default, it will be fire no verification. The reason why is the first time the smoke detector is tripped with it sensing smoke, it will send that signal to the panel, trigger the alarm on here, and then send it out to the central station. Fire with verification, if this smoke detector was put near a kitchen or in an area where you might have potential smoke that is okay but not a true life-threatening situation, and you want it to have to trip twice before actually sending it out to the central station, that's where you choose fire with verification. That means it has to trip twice. For this case, we're going to do fire no verification. Alarm report will stay as yes. The chime is disabled because anytime this trips, it'll be triggering an alarm. And then always want to keep this supervised so that if this isn't communicating with the panel, you know that your smoke is offline and you have to fix it. When you hit the down key here, this is the new screen for the smoke. So traditionally, the Honeywell wireless smoke detectors, when they tripped, only that individual smoke would trip, and it would sound from the panel on that specific zone, and it would not trip from the smoke itself. Now you have the SiXSMOKE, where it utilizes a brand new feature that was branded by Honeywell called One Go All Go. And essentially, it's the same idea as an interconnected smoke that you may be more familiar with high voltage smoke detectors in your home that use the 9-volt battery as a backup. So those, because they're hardwired high voltage back to a discrete circuit on your electrical panel, when one is tripped, they all sound so that if there's a smoke in one area of the home, the other area of the home, any members in the other area of that home or business will be notified to get out. This, because it's a fully wireless device, it obviously doesn't have any wiring going to other smokes, but if you're installing several SiXSMOKEs, which we would recommend, depending on the size of the space, you can enable this One Go All Go feature. By default, it is enabled, so you can just leave it there. You don't even really have to go down here. But just so you know what it is and how it works, is if this trips, then it will report over to any other smokes that have this feature enabled as well. So you want to keep this on yes and any of your SiXSMOKEs, and that way the built-in sounder on here will trip on all of them simultaneously when one goes off. So that's a brand new feature on just the SiXSMOKE and future 6 series fire devices. This is the first one that just came out. So we have all that program there. You can obviously name this whatever you want. And smoke detector, fire no verification. We can hit save. And then we can go to our heat. Because we did the batch enrollment, it did the heat sensor as a second zone, where we would then hit the heat sensor and then edit. The serial number is already in there from the batch enrollment. We then go to zone description. We can name this main as well. and save. Because the heat sensor is labeled differently than the smoke detector, that device type is actually added onto the end of your description, so you don't have to make a discrete name like 1 or 2 or make any sort of differentiation, because you'll see in your zone list that one is a heat and one is a smoke. So that's where you know what's what as far as differentiating the two zones. Again, going back to fire no verification, we want to keep it on that so that once the heat either reaches 135 Fahrenheit or there's a change in 15 degrees, 15-degree increase within a minute, then it'll trip. That's what we want. If you do have a situation where you want to trip twice before sending the signal to the panel, you can choose fire with verification by clicking in there. Always want this to report as yes, and then keep it supervised. Down key again, one go, all go. This is the same device, so we'll keep it on yes as well. And we'll just hit save here. So now we have the main smoke and the main heat zones programmed on our SiXSMOKE, and we can back out of programming by hitting this top right key here, all the way back out. And you'll see I have a zone trouble now. You'll notice that I have the tamper cover still off the panel, so you want to be cognizant of that. The best practice is actually to put the tamper cover back on before you exit programming. In that case I didn't, so that I could show you how that works. You want to make sure that you line up the back plate properly and then twist it closed. Let me just get that in the proper slot there. There's actually a dot here. You can line up and then twist it closed. So now you'll see that we have our tamper main smoke. We'll hit the home key and a number pad will come up. Our default is still on here. Oh, actually we have changed that. So we'll just enter the installer code to clear that. And now we'll do the tamper. Just make sure that's all the way snapped shut. And now we're clear. So you'll see that if you have the tamper open or low battery, any sort of trouble on here, that you'll have that trouble come up. You hit the home key until you get the number pad. If the number pad isn't coming up, then you're ready to arm and you're good. But if you do have a trouble, like the tamper cover is still off, hit that home key until you see a number pad and enter either your installer code or an active user code, and that will clear. It may take 2 attempts like that did, so just be cognizant of that once you're done, and then you can install this. We actually recommend installing this in advance, or you can do it right here in front of the panel before you mount it. So that is how you program the Lyric SiXSMOKE. It does have some very nice new features, and it has the dual zone smoke and heat, as well as a one go, all go. So we definitely recommend this if you have a Lyric system. It will not work with any of the legacy panels, such as the Vista panels that use the 5800 RF series technology, nor the Lynx Touch series L5210 or the L7000. So just keep that in mind, that this is only compatible with Lyric panels, being that they're the only ones with the 6 series receiver that supports that 120-bit AES encryption. So if you have any other questions on the Lyric SiXSMOKE or the Lyric controller itself and with any other zones, you can email us at support@alarmgrid.com, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.